Hey everyone, welcome back to the Anvil build class. My name's XCaliber, and on the last episode I showed you guys how to convert a vessel into another type of vessel. So for our demonstration we did a hover vessel to a capital vessel, and then I showed you guys how to actually replace the blocks so that they're not illegal blocks, and basically convert it over into a what would be like a vanilla capital build. So something that you could still put on the workshop, but it retains the whole, it retains everything that you would want to carry over from your other build, but it keeps it legal so that you can spawn it into your game without any kind of issue. So obviously you'd have to replace a lot of these things like the cockpit and whatnot. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna demonstrate how to put things that don't belong in vessels into vessels. So for instance, we have a little hover vessel here, a little unlock level 7 hover vessel. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna demonstrate how to place an advanced constructor into here so that you can use advanced constructor. So let's give it some room first. So we know that now no matter what, they all still work on the same dimensions. So if you move something from a capital vessel to a small vessel, it's just going to shrink it down, but it's still going to take up the same amount of blocks. So it's going to be a 2x2. So for demonstration purposes, we're going to remove this medical station, and we're going to place the advanced constructor sideways on here so that you can use it here. So let's first grab a capital vessel advanced constructor. There we go. Now this is a capital vessel starter block, and we're going to use this to basically stage what we want to move over. So we're going to place that, and that's an advanced constructor for a capital vessel. So what we're going to do is we're going to press N, and we're going to do the same thing we did in the last video. We're going to choose selection, we're going to press N again to get out of there, and then we're going to hold down N until we have this little arrow cursor, and we're basically going to click anywhere on the actual vessel core. So that now gives us this little blue silhouette here. Now we're going to stay in this menu, and we're basically going to choose the stretch tool, and we're going to stretch it out to the 2x2x2 that it is. So there we go. That's the dimensions of the advanced constructor. Now we're going to click copy, and then we're going to press N to go out of that menu. So we're still selected over here. What we need to do is to select this, because this is where we're moving that to. So we're going to press N. We're going to go in and out like that. We're going to press N again, and then we're going to hold down N. That's going to give us our arrow. And then we're going to click. Now we're connected to this build. We're going to keep N open, and we're going to I'm just going to move it out of the actual path of this, and then we're going to click paste. So now what we have is a green silhouette. So this means that this is not actually on the build yet, but it's showing it being on the block, but it's not physically there yet. Get rid of signals because that's annoying. Now we're going to open this up, and what we need to do is we need to physically move this over. So we're going to use the move tool, and we're going to take these double arrows, and we're just going to literally move it in here and do the same thing. And this takes a little bit because you do have to exit the end menu if you want to move your character to reposition your camera view. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go up one, and then we're going to choose this one over here. This is rotate. So now the rotation gives you these kind of rotation arrows here, and we're going to rotate it till we know what we want here. We want it to go against the wall, so we're going to do it like that. And then is that how I want it? No, we're going to move it this way. Yeah, that's the position I wanted. So now we're going to go back to move, and we're going to move it down one, move it over one, and we're going to move it over one more. The other annoying thing is that this doesn't necessarily change positions based on where you put it, so sometimes you don't see the arrows. It's a little finicky. This isn't something that's kind of built into the game for you to necessarily do. I mean, obviously it's doable, but it's not, it's not an easy task, so just bear that in mind. Now, once you get it exactly where you want it, now you can actually paste it onto the build. So we would go ahead and paste, and then you could just deselect and exit this menu, and there you go. You've got an advanced constructor in this hover vessel. It operates as an advanced constructor. It does, basically what an advanced constructor would do, and it works within this hover vessel. So really your options are almost unlimited. There's a couple things that don't work. Remember that turrets, if I was to put a CV turret on a hover vessel, it wouldn't actually work unless you manually operated it. It would not automatically fire, and that's due to coding limitations within the game. So turrets don't necessarily work. But if I was to put CV fixed rocket launchers on here, it would work. But obviously, you know, hover vessels in space, so it wouldn't really make sense. But just open your mind to that. I mean, there's literally anything you could do. So if I wanted to put CV thrusters on here, I could do that, and they would be as powerful as CV thrusters. But note, when you do that, you would also need to add a CV generator and CV fuel tanks. Otherwise, you know, you just wouldn't have the fuel and the power to operate those CV thrusters. So to give you guys an example of exactly what you could get away with as far as moving parts from CVs to HVs to SVs and vice versa, I can show you what we've been working on. This is for this is a premium vehicle that's going to be available in the Anvil community server, and this is my Kydex CV, basically shrunken down into an SV, which we will do a vanilla release for this. When we release the Kydex, we're releasing the SV version as well. But what I did here is this is actually a premium version of the SV. So right away, you can see some equipment that wouldn't necessarily be in an SV. You see a couple of advanced constructors here, and then these are actually capital vessel cargo systems. So if you look at the capacity, it's 120,000 cargo capacity in an SV, and there's 6 of them. So basically, you're able to have something as small as an SV with CV cargo capabilities. So as we continue to walk through here, you'll get an idea of some of the stuff that we've added. Now, this is a CV warp drive with a CV pentaxid tank, and then we have a CV repair station. You continue to go through here. We have a CV food processor, CV fridges, so 1,000 volume capacity instead of the SV version, which has a lot less right here, which is only 250. So you could see, you know, what's possible here, and we're adding more. We're gonna add a furnace. We're gonna add a deconstructor, and you know, this will be a full functioning exploration salvage SV. And note that these are all CV thrusters. So these are CV thrusters. There's CV fuel tanks in here. There's CV oxygen tanks in here. So, you know, these are big tier 3 CV fuel tanks in SV form, but the same capacity. So when you do that, you're retaining the capacity of the vessel you took it from. You can see there's a gravity generator here in this SV. There's a tier 2 generator here. So, I mean, it's really endless what you want to do. And, you know, you could just as well play this in your single player game. You know, I mean, if you're playing single player and you want to do it straight up, I mean, you could just look in the factory and see what it would take to build it, and then you could simply delete those resources and spawn it in, you know, if you want to do it straight up. But yeah, I mean, you could just have a lot more fun designing and, you know, just being in an SV purely instead of even worrying about a capital vessel. So that's just an example of what you can do, but there's tons more things that you can get away with when using this technique. So yeah, it's going to be it for this video, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you make some really cool stuff. So as always, build something, and my name is XCaliber, and this is the Anvil build class. Take care.
Oh, neat!